Who did Donald Trump compare himself to? You're going to be shocked. You're going to be amazed. You're going to be confused. And you're also going to be amused. In fact, we suggest you stay away from beverages, adult or otherwise, while watching this video, especially if you're sitting near the screen, because spit takes are a definite possibility. So who did Trump compare himself to? Well, before we get to that, you know what you got to do. You got to hit that like button. It really helps us. And then you got to hit that subscribe button. We need subscribers badly. And then ring-a-ling that ding-a-ling bell so you get all of the latest videos in your feed, clearly delineated. Now, what did Trump compare himself to? Well, let's look at something that really relates, that is going to provide you some insight before we get to that. And you may recall that it's been suggested that Trump may be a clinically narcissist, a narcissist of a sufferer of the narcissistic personality disorder. And here we have the list of symptoms for that from the DSM-5, which is the diagnostic rating manual used by the psychiatric profession. And you can read all 9 of those. Here they are. But we're going to focus on one: a credence that he or she is extraordinary and exceptional and can only be understood by or should be connected with other extraordinary or important people or institutions. Keep that in your mind. And also, we want to look at this: associated features. People with NPD tend to exaggerate their skills and accomplishments, as well as their level of intimacy with people they consider to be high status. Remember that, high status. Their sense of superiority may cause them to monopolize conversations and to become impatient or disdainful when others talk about themselves. In the course of a conversation, they may purposely or unknowingly disparage or devalue the other person by overemphasizing their own success. Does that sound like anybody we know? I think it does. So who did Trump compare himself to? Well, to answer that question, look at this.
So 3 days after Alexei Navalny died in a Siberian prison, Donald Trump finally addressed the tragedy yesterday and made it about himself. In a social media post, the likely 2024 Republican presidential nominee compared Navalny's death to his own situation, writing in part, quote, "The sudden death of Alexei Navalny has made me more and more aware of what is happening in our country," adding, quote, "We are a nation in decline, a failing nation, MAGA 2024. So he made it about himself and his campaign. Notably absent from Trump's message were any condolences to Navalny's family and no condemnation of the man most believed to be responsible for his death. And that would be, of course, Russian President Vladimir Putin.
So there you go. He compared himself to Alexei Navalny. Did you laugh? I bet you did. It's hard to put into words my reaction to that. And I have seen and read his reaction, and he doubles down on this reaction. He doubled down. It wasn't enough to put it on Truth Social, but he doubled down. But before we get to his doubling down, and that's on video, so you're going to see that in just a couple of minutes. But before we get to that, let's look at how a real American reacted to the death of Alexei Navalny.
You know, like millions of people around the world, I'm literally both not surprised and outraged by the news. Reported death of Alexei Navalny. He bravely stood up to the corruption, the violence, and all the bad things that the Putin government was doing. In response, Putin had him poisoned, he had him arrested, he had him prosecuted for fabricated crimes, he sentenced him to prison, he was held in isolation. Even all that didn't stop him from calling out Putin's lies. Even in prison, he was a powerful voice for the truth, which is kind of amazing when you think about it. And he could have lived safely in exile after the assassination attempt on him in 2020, which nearly killed him, I might add. But he was traveling outside the country at the time. Instead, he returned to Russia. He returned to Russia, knowing he'd likely be imprisoned or even killed if he continued his work. But he did it anyway, because he believed so deeply in his country, in Russia. Reports of his death, if they're true, and I have no reason to believe they're not, Russian authorities are going to tell their own story. But make no mistake, Putin is responsible for Navalny's death. Putin is responsible. What has happened to Navalny is yet more proof of Putin's brutality. No one should be fooled, not in Russia, not at home, not anywhere in the world. Putin does not only target his citizens of other countries, as we've seen in what's going on in Ukraine right now, he also inflicts terrible crimes on his own people. And as people across Russia and around the world are mourning Navalny today because he was so many things that Putin was not. He was brave, he was principled, he was dedicated to building a Russia where the rule of law existed and where it applied to everybody. Navalny believed in that Russia. He knew it was a cause worth fighting for, and obviously even dying for.
So what did you hear in President Biden's statement? Or more likely, what did you not hear? He didn't once talk about himself. He talked about Navalny. He talked about the Russian people. He talked about the people in our country. And he spoke about Putin. That's how you react to the death of someone like Alexei Navalny. That is the proper way if you're a real American. The right has used that phrase, real American, for far too long. They no longer deserve it. Only those of us on the progressive left deserve it. Those of us who are in the Democratic Party deserve it. And as you can see there, President Biden definitely deserved it after that statement. Now, before we get to Trump doubling down, I want to talk about a simple fact. Permanent majority was created because of these things we're talking about today. If you live in a blue state, your vote does not count as much as people who live in red states. This is just a fact. This has to do with the nature of the system, a number of factors, including the Electoral College and the way congressional seats are distributed. But this is something that permanent majority wishes to change. And we are not going to be able to change it by 2024. It may take a generation to change these things, but we can do something in the meantime. We can, if our vote doesn't count as much, we can make our voice count for more. We can expand and amplify our voice. And those of us who founded Permanent Majority come from the entertainment industry. So we're skilled at describing things, at preparing videos. And right now, I don't sound very skilled at talking, but we are skilled at all of those things. But we cannot do this alone. So before you finish watching this video, pause right now and go right over to permanentmajority.us. And first off, join all of our social media groups. That's very important. And once you've done that, do not wait, donate. It's very easy to do. You just click that button right there. There's other buttons to click on the site. We make it very easy, and there you go. Now, let's get back to Donald Trump and Navalny, and let's look at what he said at the Fox town hall on the 20th of February.
How will you put up that kind of money? Because you have a bond to put up. Even if you appeal, you got to put up escrow money. That's it's a lot of dough.
It is a form of Navalny. It is a form of communism or fascism. The guy's a nut job. I've known this for a long time, and I've said it openly. No jury, no anything. Letitia James is horrible attorney general in New York, campaigned on I will get Trump, I will get Trump. We went through a trial. It turned out we're totally innocent on everything. And he fined me $355 million.
Okay, he can shut up right now. Yeah, a form of Navalny. He's a form of Navalny. That is the most ridiculous thing we have ever heard. So before you go, you see that video down on the left, click on it. It's fascinating. It's going to inform you. It's going to entertain you. Did you click it? Click it. Click it right now. Come on, click it.